Hello, I am Avra Pottinger, and the real world problem I will be discussing is how do we deter middle school youth from joining a gang? According to the National Gang Center, children beginning joining gangs around ages 10 or 11, with most joining about age 15. Middle school students joining gangs is a growing problem with serious consequences. Therefore, it is critical to address this issue at the middle school level in order to discourage kids from joining and to help those join get out. With the increasing demand on schools, middle school administrators are not able to address this growing problem alone. So how do we deter middle school youth from joining the gang? One solution to this problem is to focus on students' self-esteem issues and to help them develop better interpersonal skills. Students are often attracted to gangs because they are lonely and feel they do not fit in. Who Am I series is a workshop focusing on interpersonal skills will be conducted for students in the 6th grade. Many students lack the skill to help them resolve conflicts and thus find it safer in numbers. Gangs, like many other groups, lean to the individuation of members. Members because less of an individual and more anonymous. People will do things in groups they otherwise would not do because they feel less responsible for their actions and less like an individual. School officials will share strategies and tools to help build the student's self-esteem. Individuals who exhibit positive self-esteem and those who are equipped with good interpersonal skills are able to maneuver through life independently, making positive decisions. These individuals enjoy the camaraderie of groups but do not need the constant support of a group to survive. Psychologist Ed Deter illustrates the appeal and the pressure of groups behavior in 1976 study conducted with children and Halloween candy. Trick-or-treaters who were instructed to take one piece of candy and then left alone most often complied with the approach a home alone. And when personal information was known, the trick-or-treaters who were anonymous to the homeowners and who visit homes in a group give the same instructions overwhelmingly took more than one piece of candy. Data from the National Gang Center has confirmed students in middle school should be the focus of our program. By accurately identifying students is critical. To ensure the target population, middle school students who struggle with self-esteem issues, is accurately identified. A self-esteem assessment will be administered to all 6th grade students. The assessment can be administered at 6th grade orientation or a school assembly where results can be gathered for most of the school's 6th graders. The tool that will be used was developed by Morris Rosenberg in 1965. It is still used today. Mr. Rosenberg is the author of Society and the Adolescent Self-Image and the creator of a very successful self-esteem test. His 10-question test is one of the most frequently used and best tools for measuring self-esteem. Rosenberg test has been translated into more than 50 languages and still used both youth and adults. 6th grade students will also play a major part in identifying students. Through normal classroom activities, teachers will be asked to be aware of students that exhibit characteristics that are often identified with possible self-esteem issues. Students that act out often, anger, hostile, insecure, have difficulty accepting either praise or criticism, strongly affected by negative peer influence, are unhappy, or etc. Workshop participants will be selected for a combination of both assessments. Even though both assessments will be identified, students who exhibit low self-esteem, students will not be identified as such. The program goal is to build self-esteem, not to single out students whose test results make them a candidate for the program. It will be explained to all students prior to the survey that this tool is being used to measure the students' interpersonal skill as they move from elementary school to the more rigorous curriculum of middle school. The students selected to participate in the workshop will only be identified as students whose success in middle school could be enhanced by their participation in their workshop series. With the help of school psychologists and sociologists, Who Am I workshops will be facilitated by certified self-esteem coaches, certified life coaches, and other facilitators trained to conduct sessions that develop interpersonal skills. Workshops will be held twice weekly for a minimum of 6 to 8 weeks to provide as much individual attention as possible. Students will be placed in small groups of no more than 15 students. Depending on the student's schedule, the program time frame may be adjusted to coincide with the school's grading period. The Who Am I workshop will focus on the following goals: how to act independently, how to handle positive and negative emotions, how to endure frustration, and how to accept responsibility for your own actions. Focusing on goals, students will work to develop good interpersonal skills by learning how to resolve conflicts with peers, responding to teasing, disagreement respectively, and dealing with bullying. The workshop will also focus on group dynamics, especially how to maintain your individuality as a group member. To accomplish these goals, workshop participants will participate in a number of activities including, but not limited to, exercises that replace negative thoughts with positive thoughts, journalizing activities, creating self-esteem collages, lecture sessions, videos, in-person presentations from their peers and others, one-on-one adult and peer mentoring sessions, one-on-one counseling sessions, focusing groups, and role playing. In order to build self-esteem, you need to know who you are and what is important and unique about yourself. Activities such as creating a self-collage will give you a chance to reflect on who they are and then to share the information in a fun way with their peers. Students will find pictures and phrases to symbolize their personality. The pictures and phrases can represent personal interests and ability such as hobby, fun, activity, sports, and animals, or etc. Students will also put their name in the center of the poster along with a picture of themselves. They will cut out and paste the pictures of the phrase onto the poster board, overlapping each picture until the entire poster is covered. Collages will reflect strength, good qualities, as well as areas that the students are working to improve. Students will ask to identify at least one goal for their college and what they need to do to reach their goal. Achieving goals that you set for yourself will give you a sense of accomplishments, which is a huge self-esteem booster. Who Am I workshop will cover a variety of topics presented in ways to hold and engage young learners. However, students will be advised prior to the start of the workshop series that extra credit will be awarded to those participants that are actively engaged and have at least 80% attendance record. Active engagement will be clearly defined by the workshop facilitators so that each participant will understand the requirements. The program message, although not stated a goal, is to persuade students to adapt new life skills. These skills over time will increase self-esteem and build better interpersonal skills. In order to accomplish these tasks, the workshop message will be important, and how the message is communicated will be critical. Therefore, the workshop facilitators will need to utilize both the central and peripheral routes to persuasion. The central routes to persuasion changes opinions, attitudes, and behaviors by persuasive arguments or the contents of the message. These type messages will be presented during the video and in-person presentation for their peers and others. The peripheral routes to persuasion involves being persuaded in a manner that is not based on an argument or the content of the message. This route is often superior, but connection in many cases with the audience. In each session, the communicator, the person providing the information, the message, what arguments are most persuasive, logic, or emotional, and how the message is communicated is how it is said will be the key. Several of the workshop sessions, especially the lecture session, videos, and in-person presentation, peer monitoring, focus groups, and role playing will involve people that the student has a connection with or who can easily establish a connection. A persuasive argument by members of a group that you are closely related to or that you can identify with has been proven to be successful. This was illustrated by Dr. O. Wangemer, researchers in 1985 with the sociology help and liberal leaders in the Dutch parliament. Both groups argued identical position using the same word. However, the experiments conducted, although both used the same words to both groups, each group leader was most effective with members of their own party. At the end of the workshop series, the participants will have a chance to demonstrate what they have learned. In addition to pre- and post-assessment to measure individual learning and program success, students will create a unique way to showcase their new skills. Students will write, produce, and star in their very own show. The performance may be a musical interpretation and stage play, a spoken word, a combination, or any other creative renditions of the student's choice. The workshop activity will serve as inspiration. The word and image for the students' self-esteem collage may use to create a rap or perhaps a song. Students will work towards this grand finale for the day one as they learn and master a new concept. The small groups will create their act or acts, which will be one of the several in the large production. This activity will also help students towards in both large and small groups while maintaining their individuality. Each small group will select a member to represent the group in a leadership role for planning the overall production. Students will challenge to select leaders based on their skills and not popularity, relating their choice back to discussions and exercises that they have participated throughout the workshop series. The creative showcase is not the end of the students. For students will continue to have access to adult mentor and peer counseling to help reinforce what they have learned and to act as a role model. The Who Am I workshop series is posed for success, but realizing that with all new projects, adjustment may be necessary. Potential areas for adjustments are: the target population may not be completely accurate. Students may not take the assessment serious. They providing false data. Sixth grade teachers may mistakenly identify characteristics exhibited by students who are dealing with issues that are not self-esteem related. Either of these actions may skew the target population. With such a large sample population, it is ensured that at least half of the participants will be in the target population. Parent acceptance. The Who Am I workshop series is not mandatory but highly encouraged for students identified as members of the target population. Parents may choose not to have their child participate. The program time frame: twice weekly workshops during school hours for 6 to 8 weeks may be viewed as too much time away from standard subjects. If this should be the case, an after-school program will be offered or a modified version of the existing program. The workshop goals. Program goals are aggressive and could be overwhelming for some of the participants, especially at their age. Although it is not expected that all students will master all the goals of the workshop, it is important that special attention is provided by the facilitators to ensure that students are successfully improving at least one interpersonal skills. Pre- and post-test assessments will be administered. This assessment is different from the self-esteem test. The workshop facilitators, certified self-esteem coaches, life coaches, and trained facilitators may not be available in the number or for the duration required. Developing a partnership with local colleges or universities to use trained graduate students will provide experience for the graduate students and ensure that workshops are not interrupted. Program speakers, because the purpose of the program series is how we deter middle school youth from joining gangs, the session would need to include real-world examples communicated by individuals that can provide realistic experiences and insight. Therefore, former gang members will share their struggles with self-esteem issues. The accurate presence of these individuals may be problematic at some schools. If this should be an issue, video conferencing will be available. Mentoring for participants continue. Reinforcement and positive interaction are essential for continuing success. Providing each workshop participant with a mentor would be ideal but may be difficult. Therefore, monthly adults and a peer counseling session will be conducted. Individuals with low self-esteem view themselves as inadequate, unworthy, and unlovable. Once formed, this negative view of self is part of their everyday thought, which creators demonstrate in self-defeating behavior. The I Am workshop goal is to develop confidence, self-esteem in the middle school students, increasing students' self-worth will aid them in making better choices as they seek opportunities to fit with their peers. Bye.